Welcome to this dedication of the sixth home of the College of Law, Dineen Hall. We're very honored to have all of you here to participate with us in this festive and important celebration that becomes a point in the history of the college. My name is Mark Malfitano. I am the chair of the College of Law Board of Advisors. And I would like to acknowledge some special people here as we begin. First of all, I would like to acknowledge members of the Dineen family who have made such a generous naming gift for which in the honor of their parents. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the chancellor of this great university, Kent Severud. We have a number of the members of the Board of Trustees, but we have the presence, or the honor of the presence of the chairman of the board, Dick Thompson. And we have a number of other special guests. We have members of the judiciary. We have a number of elected officials, many of whom I think are proud to say that they're graduates of this College of Law. When the college began an evaluation of our facilities about 8 years ago now, we partnered with the university, with the people of the Office of Campus Planning, Design, and Construction, and the architectural firm of Gluckman Maynor. And as I've come to learn, great architects, like great lawyers, need to be very good listeners. Clients pour their heart out to architects, and we tried to do just that. We tried to translate what legal education is all about. We tried to convey concepts of scholarship, collaboration, community, what it means to live here long hours, and sometimes the need for just a quiet space to curl up and pick up a book and read away. We also talked of concepts of color, natural light, organization, proximity to other uses. We were in search of a custom solution. And Richard Gluckman and his team at Gluckman Maynor listened, took notes, and responded with this unique facility, Dineen Hall. Richard Gluckman is a principal of Gluckman Maynor Architects based in New York City. Richard is also a graduate of the Syracuse University School of Architecture and chairs the school's advisory board. Richard's firm provided the creative design for the renovation of the warehouse in downtown Syracuse, which is the home of the College of Visual and Performing Arts. And Richard has closely aligned his work with the world of art, creating distinctive spaces in a number of important museums, including the Museo Picasso Malaga in Malaga, Spain, the Mori Arts Center in Tokyo, Japan, the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and the renovation of the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York City. Gluckman Maynor Architects has won a number of American Institute of Architects awards. Richard and his talent associates, a number of whom are here today, are responsible for this signature building. I'm pleased to introduce to you the architect, Richard Gluckman.
Thank you, Mark, one of our great allies and supporters in the making of this great project. Chancellor Severud, Dean Arterian, members of the Dineen family, and trustees, staff, faculty, and students. At the dedication of this site a few years ago, Bob Dineen told me that a lot of people would be offering their 2 cents about the new building. Happily, they offered a lot more than that. That too. But they offered their unwavering commitment to make this a great project. It started with Dean Arterian and her gangs of four, the Oversight Committee, the Steering Committee, and her advisors. We traveled extensively to other law schools. We had regular meetings here and in New York that challenged, discussed, and honed all aspects of the program and things that manifest themselves into the architecture of the new building. This collaboration continued with the university campus planning, design, and construction department, headed by Eric Beatty and his fully energized team, all of whom participated in a supportive and collegial way to keep this project on budget and on schedule, which it is. And our consultants, especially the engineers, bought in early and collaborated on the design of a high-performance building that achieved LEED Gold. Huber Breuer, the general contractor, acted like a real partner in this effort, and nothing gave me greater pleasure than walking through this building under construction and having workers come up to me and tell me how cool they thought the building was. Their pride of workmanship is evident today. And thanks to my staff, Perry Whidden, Carrie Nolan, Zach Poole, and Taylor Aiken, incredibly hardworking, talented, and committed, who did the heavy lifting after we did. I had their fun in the beginning. This is your building too. We set out with a few simple parameters: to design a building that establishes a presence in the shadow of the dome, and the one that will establish a new context for the new West Campus. To design a building permeated with natural light. Our design strategy was to pull the building blocks apart, to perforate the building so that natural light could penetrate deeply into it. We were told at the very beginning of this project that Syracuse is dark for a few months of the year. We promised the dean that we would introduce natural light to every room in the structure. But one or two, this feat was accomplished. We designed a building that reinforced and supported the culture of the law school and its interactive community of students, faculty, and staff. This meant to design a building with a diverse set of spaces, some designed to specific parameters, such as a teaching courtroom, a classroom, an office, but some with less specific parameters, spaces that encourage informal interaction among faculty and students, such as the space in front of the student support area and IT on the second floor. There are spaces that are dynamic and spaces that are contemplative, spaces that inspire and hopefully nurture the teaching of law. Robert Benton, a friend and an Oscar award-winning screenwriter and director, he and I used to discuss the difference between making a $70 million movie and building a $70 million building. We were both infatuated with each other's profession. Both involve hundreds of people from conceptualization to realization. Both involve the creative process, the collaborative process, the craft and the art of their respective professions. Both involve a lot of time and a lot of money. One has high risk and potentially high reward. One has low risk and a guaranteed high reward. One provides 90 minutes or so of pleasure, excitement, romance, and dreams. One provides 3 years of hard work, a supportive community, and a lifetime of fulfillment. At the end of this discussion, we both agreed, this is a much better investment in the future. My career has come full circle. 40 years ago and a few hundred yards away, I had the benefit of a terrific faculty and a great environment. And I hope Dineen Hall in some way provides a positive environment for staff, faculty, and students privileged to experience the College of Law at this great university. Having practiced architecture for 37 years, today I feel like an architect. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the chairman of the Syracuse University Board of Trustees and Maxwell graduate, Dick Thompson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dick. And if I may just go off script for a minute, can we have another round of applause for him? I think this is... I'm in awe of him as someone who cannot draw a straight line with a ruler. Anybody who can plan a building like this deserves a great deal of thanks. I'm very pleased to be here. It's a great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Syracuse University Board of Trustees. This is a momentous occasion in the life of this great university. It is a moment made possible by one incredible family who galvanized a building drive to honor their parents' memory and passion for the law. And for the legions of donors who share their passion and help bring the dream of a new home for the College of Law to fruition, on behalf of the trustees, I want to convey our very, very sincere gratitude to everyone involved in this. I am thrilled at the opportunities it creates for us to distinguish ourselves as a university dedicated to excellence and innovation in legal scholarship. A strong law school is an integral part of all great universities. This is a tremendous moment of pride. We are grateful to everyone, and especially to the Dineen family. So thank you all very much for all that you have done. And speaking of passion for the law and legal education, our next speaker, Syracuse University's 12th Chancellor and President, Ken Syverud, epitomizes those traits. Taking office in January of this year, the Chancellor's nearly 2 decades of academic leadership at law schools or premier national universities. I cannot believe my phone's going off. It's Joe Biden. He'll be here in 10 minutes. Oh, electronics. Ken took office in January of this year. In his nearly 2 decades of leadership of 2 outstanding law schools in the United States has equipped him to take this university to new heights. Early on in his legal career, as I think we all know, he clerked for Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. A prolific author, he has written for many of the most prestigious journals in his field. Of special note today, I think, is that he served as editor of the Journal of Legal Education. Most importantly for all of us and everyone in the university community, Chancellor Syverud always focuses on the students. At our annual meeting, he presented each trustee with a plaque that asks the question, how will this help our students? Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce a leader who will always put every student first, including the law students, Chancellor Ken Syverud.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here today as a member of the faculty of the Law School of Syracuse University. I think it's been a while since a chancellor was able to say that. I want to thank you all particularly for an unusual thing, which is I have been in a leadership role at 3 great law schools before coming to this great law school. And at each of those great law schools, within the first week of my job, somebody in a role like Dick's came to me and said, so what are you going to do about the building? And what ensued was years and years and years of anguish, trouble, toil to fix, replace, or repair a building. And I came here. And this was already almost done. And so I'm so grateful to you for this. It is, I want you to know, a spectacular building. And I say that as someone who's been in more than 100 new law school buildings in the last 10 years. It's a great facility for learning about law. It is and will be filled with students, faculty, and staff, and bench and bar, as it is today. It's light, it's warm, it's spacious. It's got so many great public spaces, large and small. And it's now the case that our College of Law has lots of room for for the kind of dynamic learning and interaction that is legal education at its best. I know that that took so much work by everybody who's here, so much planning, so many decades, and I do mean decades of start and stop and effort to get to where you are now. I want to join in thanking you all for making that possible. I thank in particular our Dean, Hannah Arterian, for her leadership for more than a decade in seeing this project through from vision to execution. I want to acknowledge my predecessor, Nancy Cantor, and our Board of Trustees for their vision and their commitment to building an even better law school. I want to thank the builders and the architects and the contractors and the city and county professionals and the university employees and faculty and staff who really worked together so closely on every detail of the planning and design and construction of this building. And every detail shows in the result, as I think you saw today. I particularly am proud that it was a team composed of a lot of our alumni, including Jim Brewer and Richard Gluckman, who really together envisioned and designed and constructed this great building. I know that none of this would have happened without the strong support of our law school alumni and friends and every member of the board of advisors of the school. When I first came here, the first sentence of explanation in my briefing for Mark Malfitano when I first met him was that this is a guy who would take his shirt off his back if he thought it would help the law school. And I proved that was true today because I walked up to him and said, "Where did you get that Dineen Hall pin?" And he instantly took his pin off and put it on me. So Mark, I just want to say I know leadership when I see it, and I'm grateful for yours. I can't mention everybody here who contributed to this in so many ways, but all I can promise you is I will know who you are, and I will thank you every opportunity I get. But of course, most importantly, I want to thank the Dineens. Robert Emmett Dineen Sr., Carolette Barham Dineen are with us today in spirit and through 3 of their lawyer children. I know Robert and Carolyn love this place, and I know they have an unforgettable legacy that's all around us. Their 3 children, of course, are Judge Carolyn Dineen King, who's going to speak in a moment, and Catherine Dineen Riston and Robert E. Dineen Jr. And I want to say that Carolyn and Catherine and Bob made this day possible by stepping forward with the naming gift that I think electrified everybody here to get this project done. Carolyn, Catherine, and Bob, I've talked with more than 1,000 people about this building and about the name that it bears. And I really think I can give no greater tribute to your parents than this. Absolutely everyone is incredibly proud of this building, but they're even more proud that it's called Dineen. I have learned that your parents carried themselves and taught you to carry yourselves in ways that make all kinds of people want to be associated with that name. And that's a great tribute to them and to you. We're so grateful that now that name is inextricably intertwined with Syracuse and with our law school. I think that Syracuse University is and should always be proud of its law school. I know that our faculty and our students and our staff and alumni have accomplished so much and done so much good in the world. I know that we can do even more now that our facilities match our highest aspirations. But there is one more thing that someone needs to say, and that someone needs to say often, and I'm glad to get to be the one that says it today. A great law school is and will be an essential part of what makes Syracuse a great university. Now that statement, a great law school is and will be an essential part of what makes this a great university, that's simultaneously a fact, a challenge, an aspiration, but it's also a commitment that we're all making to this place. So let's just continue to live up to that commitment, inspired as we are by what we see behind us in Dineen Hall. I now present to you the Honorable Carolyn Dineen King, Senior Federal Court of Appeals Judge, former Chief Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, and most importantly, current sister of both Catherine Dineen Whiston and Robert E. Dineen Jr. Thank you.
I have to tell you, I heard that cell phone go off. That happened. You know, you're not supposed to have a cell phone in the federal courthouse, at least not in Houston, or not in New Orleans. So one day, the cell phone went off, and I was presiding, and usually it goes off for just a second, and then someone shuts it off, and we never say anything. So this went off, on, and on, and on. And finally, I said to the lawyer who was arguing this case, "Is that your cell phone?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Why don't you turn it off?" So he goes over to his place where his briefcase is, and he reaches in, and then he comes back. So we go on, and about 5 minutes later, there it goes again. So I said, "Why don't you go over and turn it off? You won't need that where you're going." So, I have to say, this has been a joyful day for all of us. What's been the point of all this? What's been the goal? Well, I speak for my family, and I speak, I think, also for all the donors. It's very important to understand the Dineens put some money up front here, okay? And that was critical. That got everybody engaged. But there's a lot more money than we put in it that has been put in by numerous people, including, of all things, faculty members who put in a pile of money. So we are donors, but there are lots of donors, and the aggregate amount is much bigger than what the Dineens put in. So, my goodness, please remember, we thank everybody for the money that's been put into it. Now, you all have heard the story of my father, most of you. You're going to have to hear it one more time, and then we won't say it again. He was born more than 100 years ago in a little shotgun house. At least that's what we call them in the South. I don't know if it's the same thing here, but, you know, a one-room house from the front to the back, one story, inhabited by more than one family. He attended law school directly because he didn't have the money to go to college. He was born in the swamp, or let me say, you call it the swamp. The Irish who lived there called it the bog, all right? He went on to be, he went to this law school directly from high school. He went on to become a partner in Bond, Chenick & King, superintendent of insurance in New York State, and the chief executive officer of one of the largest and best insurance companies in the country. My mother had a master's degree from Columbia University in medieval English. I mean, she could actually read Beowulf and Chaucer to me in the original, and did. She wanted to go to law school, and she put herself through law school because her father refused to pay for a woman to become a lawyer. She worked for the Post-Standard as a reporter. She worked then, when she graduated, with Costello, Cooney, and Fearon for 5 years, and then retired to have 4 children in 5 years during World War II. So we're, working as I have was not a possibility because there was no help available. What the College of Law did for my parents is to provide them with one of the most important opportunities in their lives, specifically the opportunity to build a fulfilling, successful, and happy professional life. So my sister Kathy and my brother Bob and I joined with all the others who have put money into this building and this institution to make it a reality, to provide exactly the same kind of opportunity to current and future law students to build happy and successful professional lives. So creating opportunity has been the goal for all of us. That's what we're here, that's what we gave the money for, and that's what we are sure that this will be. So thank you. I know that this will be a wonderful place for present and future law students, and for this city, and for this university. Thank you. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing somebody who needs no introduction, Lisa Dolak.
Thank you. As Judge King said, I'm Lisa Dolak. I'm a proud alum and a member of the faculty of the Syracuse University College of Law. And I want to start with thank you. It's important to start there, to express our gratitude to every single person who gave, who worked to bring this building, this beautiful building, from conception to reality. This building is the product of vision and commitment, of the ability to imagine the future of legal education and the courage to make the decisions, take the risks, and do the work necessary to make it happen. We are the beneficiaries of that vision and commitment. This building lifts us, renews us, and inspires us, but it also challenges us. It challenges us to have the same kind of vision and commitment that it took to get us to this day. To look into the future, to see and to cultivate each student's potential for self-realization while guiding the development of the understanding that commitment to community is the essential characteristic of the legal professional. And to recommit to demanding and demonstrating excellence in every facet of our work. Our new building challenges us, but it also serves and supports us, offering so much by way of inspiration. Let the light that fills these corridors, classrooms, and study spaces remind us of the illuminating and guiding power of the rule of law. Let the abundant space that surrounds us remind us of our boundless capacity for growth as scholars, instructors, mentors, and colleagues. Let the many and varied gathering spaces prompt us to cultivate our relationships with one another, to seek opportunities for collaboration and engagement, and remember that a comprehensive legal and professional education takes place in classrooms, courtrooms, and clinics, in our offices, in the library, and in reading rooms, but also in the chance daily encounters we have with our students in our hallways, stairwells, and cafes. Let the built-in flexibility and adaptability of our new space recall for us the characteristic breadth and enduring versatility of a legal education. Let our location, bridging the campus and the greater community, remind us that we and Syracuse University are stronger because of our integral connection, but also that the law puts reason to work, and that our solemn obligation is to serve and to prepare our students to serve the individuals and institutions who turn to us for trusted advocacy and counsel. This building challenges us. It challenges us to innovate, to imagine, and to invest fully of ourselves in the pursuit of truth, opportunity, community, and achievement. So let us act. Let us recommit to consistently demonstrate the highest standards of professional competence, to produce and inspire distinctively thoughtful research and analysis, to demand academic excellence, and to model exemplary professionalism, to build on our great institutional legacy, to be worthy of the faith invested in us by Syracuse University, the Dineen family, and everyone who imagined and committed, and to strengthen, promote, and protect the good name of the Syracuse University College of Law. Thank you. And now it is my great honor to introduce one of those people to whom we owe the greatest debt of gratitude. For without her vision, her resolute belief in the value of a legal education, her unwavering commitment to the future of our law school, and her just plain hard work to make it happen, this day would not have been possible. Please join me in thanking Dean and Professor of Law, Hannah Arterian.
Well, I knew I was in trouble if I was going to have to follow Professor Dolak. So I'm not giving a speech. I'm here to introduce somebody. But I've already told that somebody that before I introduce that somebody, I was going to say just maybe a couple of words. The two words I'm going to definitely say are Alex Epsilonti. Alex Epsilonti. I will just say, I mean, I could say, I'll just say this, she's an astounding human being. And there wouldn't be, in my view anyway, there wouldn't be a brick, there wouldn't be a dollar, well, maybe there'd be a dollar. There wouldn't be the faith, the courage, the belief that this could happen. I really mean, I quoted something to the Board of Advisors yesterday at their meeting about one of our faculty members, and it had to do with something that was written on a teaching evaluation, and I do read every single teaching evaluation, and some things stick with me. And one of the things that stuck with me is this, and it's about one of our faculty members. And I'm going to figure out a way to say this so you don't know whether it's a man or a woman. But one of the comments was, when I grow up, I want to be just like Professor X, on my game every day, okay? When I grow up, I want to be like Alex Epsilonti, on my game every day. Yeah. We know you're there somewhere, Alex. How far away did you go? You can't go that far. You cannot get far enough away. You know it. You know it. Okay. And I should also say that I told Alex I did not want to speak at this. And she said, oh, you could introduce Judge McKee. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. And so but I told her if she asked me to say something, she was going to be very sorry. And now you know why you are sorry. Okay. I told Judge McKee just after lunch that I wanted to mention Alex, and so we were in agreement on that. Okay. And what I'm going to say about Judge McKee is very different, I think, than that really inspiring story of his life, really, that I think Melanie did so well. I want to talk about why it means the world to me that Judge McKee was our keynote speaker and that he's here today. When it was generally announced that, I guess somewhere, that I was going to be the dean of the law school at Syracuse University, I was at our home in Tempe, Arizona. And the phone rang, and it was a weekend, and I answered the phone. This is before we had the stuff that blocks calls and whatever. And I pick up the phone, and this voice on the other end says to me, am I speaking to Hannah Arterian? Can I speak to her? Yes, this is Hannah Arterian. I'm Ted McKee, and I'm a graduate of the College of Law. And I just wanted to call up and, congratulate you, and I just wanted to talk to you. The first person that called me, he talked to me on the phone for about an hour. I will never, ever, ever forget that, ever. And I think what Melanie talked about this morning is so resonant with that phone call. And over the years that I've had the honor and the privilege of being the dean of this law school, I've gotten to know more about Judge McKee, about his amazing wife, his daughters, his mother, and his mother-in-law. And he's a profound influence on anybody he touches, and it's a profound influence on me. Now, I don't want to sort of leave it at that, but so I'll tell you just one other thing. I'm not going to tell you about what he does for our students. I'm not going to tell you when he comes here every year to judge the moot court competitions, every year, to judge our moot court competitions, okay? How he looks after the students there. Sits down to dinner. When he's at dinner, he learns about the students. What are they doing? Where are they going? Do they have a job yet? Let's have a talk about that, okay? What I want to tell you is I quickly learned that we might have many things in common, but probably our reading wasn't one of them, because one time, we were talking on the phone, I said, man, he asked me what I was reading, and I told him. And I said, well, what are you reading? And he gave me the name of the book, and I was silent, and he told me that it was about string theory. And his hobby is reading about physics. So despite that, he has continued to be a wonderful, warm supporter of the college, and a man of enormous courage, who was not looking out for himself and his highest trajectory. This is a person who could have been on the Supreme Court of the United States. He could have. But for him, being the judge that he has been is much more important than elevating yourself to another level. Ted, thank you. Please come up here and say something, please.
Hannah asked me to say something because at lunch when she was letting me know that I would be speaking to you, I said, well, I wasn't really prepared or anything. So I just say, everyone said everything was saying, so I just thank you all. But I do think it's significant that Hannah just mentioned something. Sometimes in casual conversation, things sneak out that you wouldn't otherwise know. I thought it was significant that she mentioned my phone call to her was before the time of blocked calls. We now know that had she been able to block my call, I never would have gotten through to her. So thank goodness that was back in the dark days. I so want to thank the Dineen family for what you have allowed the university to do in such an incredible way. And Carolyn, I know there are a lot of other people involved, but your family really was the organization and motivational force for this and the leader of it. And you really do honor us by honoring your family's memory and the memory of your mom and dad. I could really relate to that. And also, Richard, I have always, I won't say always, for a long time I've been in awe of what architects can do because they don't see, I don't want to get into photons and things, but in Kevin science, but they don't use photons the way my retina uses photons. But they don't see space the way I see space. They look at space and their understanding of physics, and I'd love to talk to you about that. When we talked on the phone, we never got into that. But the more when I began understanding things like stress and forces, what they're able to do with imagination, creativity, and art and physics is really impressive. It may be the singular most impressive profession in terms of the arts are concerned, and what you and your talented crew have done with this building and how it reflects the transparency and things that we think about of being important to law is a wonder. So thank you. I also want to thank the university community. Syracuse University took such an incredible risk on me. It's one of the reasons I'm so impassioned about Syracuse. About 40 some odd years ago, When I came here as a little scrawny undergraduate, having just graduated, actually I worked for 3 years for SUNY Binghamton after I got out of SUNY Cortland. So I came here having graduated from SUNY Cortland, which you folks have probably heard of, at least the locals have, but if you've come from any distance, you probably have no idea what the hell SUNY Cortland was. And of course, the State University of New York got rather pompous, maybe is the right word, because now the campus is State University of New York. When I was there were 4 university centers. There was Albany, Buffalo, Stony Brook, and Binghamton. All the others were state university colleges. So I didn't come from the State University of New York at Cortland. I came from SUC Cortland. And all our shirts said State University College of Cortland, SUC Cortland. And I did not have the most impressive academic criteria because I went to school in the 60s, and there were much more important things to do than study. You know, there was a revolution to be organized, and there were folk songs to learn. You had to learn a few guitar chords, otherwise you lost your liberal creds. So I didn't devote the time to undergraduate study that I did devote to law school. Fortunately, I had 3 years of maturity, so when I got here, I was willing to engage in the kind of really hard work that one needs to be successful here. But the university took a risk on me that clearly did not have to. And I'm so grateful to the university for having done that, and that's why I do feel very special about it. One quick story, and then I'll stop. I'm also on the board of Temple University, and years ago, the then president of Temple invited me to a football game. It was Temple versus Syracuse. And she knew I was on the board of Syracuse. And I thought, well, how am I going to do this? Because, I mean, football means something here at Syracuse. At Temple, it's, one of these wet dreams that you have. And it's aspirational. Everybody talks about how we're going to become a national power. So I'm rooting for Syracuse, and it was the time when Syracuse's trajectory was really looking good in terms of football. So I go there thinking, well, this is a slam dunk. We know who's going to win this game. And I'm in the back of the box there, and I'm kind of gorging myself on god-awful Philly cheesesteaks and beer, and about all you can eat in Philadelphia, at a ball game anyhow. And a Temple scores, so I thought, well, that's nice, because my kids went to a Quaker school, and I understand the benefits of letting the opponent look good. So I thought, all right, so Temple scores. And they scored again. And I thought, well, this is taking Quakerism a bit too far. And at the end of the half, Temple had this really big quarterback that Syracuse couldn't stop. At the end of the half, I think the score was 21-0. I got calls on my cell phone from people saying, Ted, what in the hell's going on? I said, I don't know. I'm at the game. I can't figure it out. So I sat there trying to clench my teeth. Finally, Syracuse scores, and I go, yes! Like that. And everybody turns and looks at me. And the president walks up to me and goes, Ted, what's the problem? And I said, well, I got to be candid with you. I'm on the board of Temple. I love Temple. I'm honored to serve, but I really do bleed orange. And I then told some of what I just related to you about how much the university means to me and how much you did for me. I mean, I clearly would not be here but for the incredible education that I got at Syracuse University. And this building is but one more bit of excellence, I think, in what is going to be an incredibly, even more excellent educational institution. So again, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to call up the final speaker, somebody I met for the first time last night, in a really impressive outfit. I mean, she's dressed down today, but last night, I mean, she was really awe-inspiring. Federal judges do not normally get intimidated by people, but when I saw the captain walk in, I thought, I've met my match here. She's a law student here at 1L, I believe, with an amazing story to tell, an incredibly talented and very disciplined individual who I think we're going to hear great things from. And as I told her last night, with her name, I expect to be in the next 10 years, she'll be the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Captain Susan Upward.
I'll try to live up to that introduction, and I just have to correct the judge, which I don't get to do very often. I'm actually a 3L, unless you know something I don't. I have to tell you, when I first entered Dineen Hall, the first feature that really struck me was the atrium that you all ate in today. How open and bright it was, and how it reflected nature, and how the light fixtures above looked like a flock of birds. gave me such a calm feeling. So I turned to the gentleman standing beside me, and I mentioned this to him, that I thought they looked like birds. And he turned to me and gave me an inquisitive look and said, "Birds? I think they look like books." So I looked back. Now looking back on it, they do look like big open case books, precariously perched over the students that are studying below them. And instead of that calming effect, I must admit I had a feeling of impending doom that I hadn't felt since my 1L year in torts class. But that exchange is symbolic of what Dineen Hall is really about. It's about perspective. Here were two people looking at the same thing at the same time and seeing two completely different things. Now, my background and experience means that I have somewhat different of a perspective than my fellow classmates, and I'm used to that. In fact, that's part of the reason I chose Syracuse University. This university truly respects the values and experiences of military members and veterans. Through comprehensive support programs, such as the Institute of Veterans and Military Families, through outreach programs such as Vision here at the law school, and through curriculum programs such as the Institute of National Security and Counterterrorism. Syracuse University continually proves its commitment to military members is not just lip service, and for that, I truly thank you. But while my unique perspective somewhat makes me a little unique, it doesn't make me unique in this student body. The College of Law is made up of students and faculty and staff from all different perspectives and life experiences. Dineen Hall is a long-term commitment to continue to bring together a diverse student body more than just for the study of law. Students are encouraged to engage in the university community as a whole, interacting beyond these walls with students from Maxwell and Newhouse and Whitman and their different perspectives. That's not something you see in a standalone law school. I can't guarantee that my fellow classmates or future students will fundamentally change their opinions just by attending school in this fabulous building. But I can guarantee two things. Undoubtedly, they will be exposed to different perspectives that will change the way they look at both the law and the world in general. And secondly, at some point, they're going to look up at those light fixtures and wonder if they're birds or books. Thank you very much.
I'd like to go a little off script for a quick second and tell you something about our student speaker. We have a number of students here, and many of them are present. And I wasn't a part of the selection of Susan to make this, but you should know a little bit about her background. She is a captain in the United States Marines. She has served 2 tours in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And when she leaves here at the end of her graduation, she's going to go back into the JAG Corps. And by the way, she has a couple of commendations that I think are worthy of note. She holds the Army Commendation Medal, the Navy and Marine Commendation Medal, and the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal with Gold Star. And very importantly, there are many, many students here, just like Susan. Many of them are here in their business attire looking like real lawyers. And I think the Dineen family would say, and I know all the other donors to say, this is why we do this. This is about the students that are here and the next generation of students to come. That is what the commitment to Dineen Hall is all about. With that, I would like to ask the members of our dignitaries here to please join me. We are going to cut the ribbon to officially open Dineen Hall. All right, I would All right, I would like to say thank you again to the Dineen family, to Chancellor Severud, to Chairman Dick Thompson, to Dean Arterian, to Richard Gluckman, Judge McKee, and all of our distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, our ceremony is over. Welcome to Dineen Hall. Please join us inside for some tours and some dessert. Thanks for being here.